Hello and welcome back to Vintage Treasures. Now this is one I've been looking forward to for a while. Now guys, if you're unfamiliar with the NECA format, it's released like a lot of other toys. I don't have any turtles yet. This is my first turtle in the NECA line. I have two Marty McFly Tales from Space. They were on discount. If you've seen that video, you know I got them for $8 each. But this one I paid full price for, $34. A bit of box damage. Nothing that's gonna kill me though. Yeah, I'm happy I got my hands on this. And there's actually, I wouldn't say it's a long story, but it's just a story. So let me just explain this to you. I was looking all around Target for the new NECA releases, because they didn't really put them out. My local Target only had like He-Man Skeletors, Battle Cats, and Panthers, and Sky Sleds, and whatever Skeletor had. That's all they have for vintage collectibles, but I saw these, they also have a collector's section, I guess, but that, as vintage toys, based on something vintage, that's as much as we had, until I went this week, and I found a bunch of Mono Geckos. They were all $40, and I was like, geez, $40, I don't really, Mono Gecko's a cool character, but I don't care about him enough to buy the figure for $40. Okay? I'm at the checkout line, and I said, you know what? There's a very small possibility, but still nonetheless a possibility that someone put it in one of the other toy sections. Walking by, first aisle is baby stuff. And about knee height on me, I see this, and I gasp, and I go, oh my god. I finally laid my eyes on one. Grabbed it as quick as possible. Took it to the checkout, bought it. It was only $34, which doesn't make sense because the Mono Geckos were $40. This one was $34. No clearance tag, nothing, just the damage, but I think that might be it. I don't know. I don't care. The figure's fine, I got my hands on it. So let's unbox this, and let's compare it to the vintage Playmates one. Design-wise, NECA never fails. I mean, look at this guy. He looks just like he did in the cartoon. Now, let me explain something to you, for the people that don't understand, not necessarily understand, but people that don't really, aren't into this, and maybe you're trying to get into it. These NECA figures are based on the cartoons, not the Playmates figures. This is a separate series. I think that's made by Super 7. They make the figures that look like figures. NECA makes the figures that look like the cartoon. So getting all the unnecessary clutter out of the way, I'd like to show you what we got that we can replace and swap out with this guy. And I did put his gun hand in so I can hold his gun. So that's that. One thing I was sad to see is that I expected to see it because I've seen the figure before, and this is based on the show, is no muck cap, so no play feature, which is really unfortunate because this guy does come with a barrel of mutagen, and it's labeled. It's cool. It's labeled. Now, I don't think I'm going to use this. I'm going to probably keep him in the box most of the time because I'm not really a displayer like that. I display my vintage figures. I might in the future. We get 2 extra hands, and we have an extra mouth, an open mouth, and that's it for the extras and the swap out pieces. But otherwise, we get Joe Eyeball, of course, in his animated style. The Muck Pack, the gun, I forget what it's called, the Trash Bazooka maybe, and of course Muckman himself. And in the original, we got the Muck Gun. Actually, that might not be the Muck Gun. That's the one from the cartoon. I forget what that one's called. This is the Muck Gun. We have Joe Eyeball, the trash can, and Muckman. And his card, I'm not gonna lie, I get the holdbacks for the time, but he didn't look great on card. Yeah, he just didn't look good on card. So, what do I have to say overall about these figures is they're similar. They're very similar. Their jumpsuits are similarly colored. But let's get down to the nitty-gritty, and let's start Joe Eyeball. Now, one thing I did just find out that's very unfortunate is Joe Eyeball cannot stand up by himself, so I'll be laying him down for this review. But the OG Joe Eyeball can. So, the first part I'd like to mention is paint. Must I say more? Like, the eyes, the speckles. One thing that I think is better is the detail. I mean, I think that was done by Varner in, 1990? Maybe 1989. The arms look great on the new guy. It looks just like he did in the animated series. So I keep going back to the figure because, that's what I imagine, that's what I picture, but it's not what it's based on. Also, no articulation on the original, as I don't think any of them did besides Sergeant Banana's orangutan, maybe? There's a couple more, maybe? I don't know. But he has all the way adjustable neck, and 2 of his arms are actually articulated. Completely articulated. So, let's move on to another smaller detail, but nonetheless a detail. The muck back. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize the original, once again, like Joe Eyeball, had more detail. The new one's more plain, but that's just the way animation worked. You didn't want to draw all that detail. Plus, I think the figure was designed after. Maybe they were designed at the same time. I'm not really sure. I'm not huge on the inner workings of Playmates in the 90s, but I know that Varner is very good at what he did. I know there's other sculptors, but Varner is probably my favorite. Yeah, it looks just like it did in the animation with the blue and the gray. And this one matched perfectly. Now, the attachment is different, of course, because this one had the muck action, where the muck went through. You push down Joe Eyeball. The muck went through his mouth and stomach. And this one clips on with a simple hook. You just hook it into Muckman's back. And one thing I'd like to point out is the size difference isn't that big when you compare the size of the figures. The size of the figures and difference is huge. So, this is merely, a quarter of an inch in some places. Alright, let's move on to guns now. Now, this one's not much of a comparison because these are obviously 2 different guns. One being the Muck Bazooka and the other one being this technological advanced. I think this was given him by Krang, actually, now that I think of it. I don't know, it's been a while. But the Muck Bazooka is different than this gun, so let's just move on to Muckman himself. So first, we're going to go over articulation. 11 pieces of articulation if you're counting the knees as 2 different pieces. And 7. Now, 7 isn't that bad when you, once again comparing to the figure, include his awesome muck throw-up process. The play feature, you know what I'm talking about. Now, I love the way they did the mirror. I have to mention it. It's great. It looks just like it did in the cartoon. I think it was blue, though. But they nailed that one. Also, I just love the shading. Because I've never, this is my first NECA figure from the Turtles line. And I appreciate, that they did to make it look like cell animation, where they did the shadows. Like you see on the inner thigh there. It's just great. I love the cans, the little tube, the cans, the trash can, another little barrel. It's just great, the detail they put into this. Varner did that, but they didn't put the paint detail in, and I get it, expenses, but that's black paint, that's black paint, that's not black paint. They could have did a little bit better on that one, but I get it. Now, it's a great trade-off, not having the play feature, when you have interchangeable arms, accessories, a better paint job, and he comes with the muck too. He didn't. You had to buy it separately, if you recall. And not to mention, it got stuck. There's actually muck stuck in his mouth as we speak. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I can't sit here and pretend to bash either one of these figures because considering price and considering the time, that's great. I mean, still is. That could be sold as a toy in the next Turtles line, and it would fit in if it hadn't already existed. And, you know, you're paying a lot less. Actually, you might even pay less to buy it now than it costs to buy this guy, but he's a collector's item, you know. There's no kids playing with this guy, hopefully. Now, if you enjoyed my review, or you want to critique it, I'll see you in the comments. Please do leave a comment, leave a like. Consider subscribing if you enjoy this content. I don't only post Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I also collect He-Man, I also collect Chuck E. Cheese, and just anything here and there, you know, classic movies from the 80s and 90s. So if that sounds like something that interests you, just drop a sub. It's free. And have a great rest of your day or night. Goodbye.